I'm on the Governor's Early Learning Council, and I tell you, education starts at age 0. And we have to admit that. And on Guam, we need to take care of our children in the daycares and what kind of care they take and what kind of things they're thought of in the daycare. And so really, education from 0 to 1. And I just wanted to make sure that hopefully you all agree with me that we have to start educating our kids from birth. Studies show that if we don't do that, I think California did a study about a few years ago, and they're trying to decide how many prison cells to build for the future. And they went to their 5th grade SAT scores. So that tells you how important education is at an early age. So as we're dealing with our current issues and be able to grow our students and making sure they're prepared for the workforce and educate them, we need to also be mindful and pay attention to what we do with the younger children and not just shove them into daycares or babysitters, but make sure that they're getting the education, care, and nutrition they need to grow to be contributing citizens for the future. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. I started out my career in early childhood education. My first job was the summer of 1965, the first year of Head Start. Worked with Head Start for many years. So we are searching for an early childhood person at the School of Education now so we can expand our capacity in the earlier years, but also the parent education component, which is absolutely critical. So I'm glad you're a fan of this. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, would anyone else like to also address that?
First Lady, I would just like to add that in the spring of 2010, the community college will start offering early childhood education for high school students. So it is another program that will start in spring of 2010. Thank you.
Well, I think you're absolutely correct, and of course parent education is a big part even of the K through 12 curriculum, but and of course we need to develop those professionals and those people who are going to work in daycare centers and early childhood centers. One of the things that's coming out of these education summits is the notion of transitions and how to smooth those transitions. And it's very common to form, 0 to 21 or preschool P16 commissions, which you kind of see how all of this system kind of works together and what kind of policies a society can adopt in order to facilitate these transitions as young people go basically from birth, home life, to some form of daycare, right into the K through 12 system, and then obviously into post-secondary or into the world of work. And so those things are exactly on target. And I think that coming out of that educational summit, and the speaker mentioned it earlier today, I think we're going to see some pretty exciting initiatives in that direction. Thank you.
Yes, because it's our goal in our council to be able to raise the bar in the daycares. Because right now, the rules and regulations are over 30 years old, so that's what we're trying to do. But of course, we have issues and concerns, and we're trying to iron all of those things out so that we can move forward. I do have one more, regards to Dodea. And excuse me, if there's anybody here from Dodea, we can have a conversation later. But I think with this military buildup, we need to assess as a community what is the right thing, whether we should allow or even be able to say, build more schools in the fence line. As we're trying to say, think about us outside, we need to push that issue when it comes to education. We need to try, there are other opportunities or other ventures that we can test. First of all, how many students are we talking about? When you talk about 8,000 Marines and their dependents, how many students are we talking about? And at what grade levels? Do we have that information? Secondly, if you say you're going to build 7 schools, that's very costly. I think if they have the money to build 7 schools, let's talk. Let's talk with government of Guam, let's talk with the private schools and see what other type of venture or education institution can provide for their kids. Because I think it was Admiral Fargo who told me several years ago that when military operates in American soil and they speak English, they have no business being in the school business. So please excuse me, forgive me for that. And I totally agree with that. Growing up, when we had co-ed and military kids were in the private schools and in the public schools. I think that's a great learning culture, great way to interact, and great way to remove any type of division that we try to teach, that we're currently doing for our kids. We need to integrate. We need to learn. They need to learn our culture. We need to learn from them as well, because they come from vast, different areas of the world, and they can share that with our kids. And if there is so much, then, you know, why don't we look at piloting something? You know, you have the money, we have the land. Build the schools. Let's decide how it's going to be run and operated. You know, maybe it's outside of Guam's way of running an institution, but let's partner. There's charter schools now. I mean, the law was passed. We're just waiting for the boards to be appointed, but hopefully that may be an avenue. Or the private schools. What's their capacity? Are they filled? Maybe there is some room for the military kids in the private schools and within our government of Guam or within our GDOE. So why don't we look at all these options before we say build the schools? Because yes, they're sucking up our teachers. And yes, they're taking all the great people because they pay. If you look at how much they pay per student a year compared to what we pay here in Guam or even in a private school, it's almost 2 times. And so why are we just going to leave it like that? We should really revisit it. And I'm asking the military, let's partner. Let's look at other ways that we can treat education rather than just build schools in the fence line. That's my comment. Sorry. Like I said, I'm passionate.
Thank you, First Lady.